Okay, good to have you again. This is our discussion segment of Good Morning Anambra. How are you? Good to have you here. My name is GMA.
My name is Obina. Of course, we've been taking you on the ride this morning. We previously talked about the various newspapers across Nigeria, and now we're bringing you to the discussion segment of the Good Morning Anambra.
All right, thank you very much. Today, if possible, we're going to look at a topic that said building resilience, financing preparedness to reduce the impact of natural disaster. 2025 International Day for Natural Disaster that has a theme as fund to resilience, not disaster. A guest that has joined us to talk about this, and she is Chinelo Umokafo. Chinelo Umokafo is the Secretary, Anambra Environment Society. Good morning, Chinelo.
Good morning. Good morning, Anambra.
Okay, good to have you here.
Good to be here too.
Okay, just before we came online, Obina was laying claim on you as the sister. So I think I'll have to leave you and your brother now.
No, it's not based on that. Of course, probably same hometown, but I think we are here on a different, for probably a different reason, a different, thing entirely. All right, let's look at the topic. Building resilience, financing preparedness to reduce the impact of natural disaster. When you look at, what I call it the memo being released by the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, there were actually three, major themes, or I say major highlights where they talked about, the cost of disasters across the world, going up, and then low funding for disaster, and then currently and finally, how investments, especially from private sectors, are very blind to risk. So what's your take on this development? What's the theme? Why are we celebrating? What is it about these years, talk about, or rather celebration about, averting risk, disaster risk globally?
I will start with saying that I don't think natural disaster is a new thing to us, like flooding, erosion. And so, in fact, I like to bring it home where what we usually have is flooding and erosion in Anambra State. So we already used to it. And somehow, we don't do anything before it happens. So I think the United Nations this year is focusing on, why not we fund the preparedness instead of funding when the disaster happens? Preparedness in the sense of preparedness, meaning taking action before a disaster happens to ensure that individuals, community, even government can respond differently and also quickly recover from the disaster. That is what the preparedness is. And if we can fund this preparedness very well, you will realize that when this disaster happens, at least people are aware of what to do, as in different individuals, both the individuals, community, and the government. Everybody is already aware of what to do. And it will make recovery from this disaster as quick as you will not even know that it really happened. But we hear of, I think yesterday, the news of Ogidi on Newi 2 days ago, where they had flood. I don't know how they have recovered by now. Yes. So if we prepared for it, probably the State Emergency Management Agency warn these people that this thing is going to come, and eventually, if you're living around there, you leave, it becomes less injuries that will come from this disaster. So I think that is why the UN is specifying on funding the preparedness instead of funding the disaster.
Let's also look at, the cost implication of this. According to the United Nations, the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk, Reduction, they claim, according to their report, that disasters globally have actually surged to about 202 billion. In fact, they say that's a more direct report. They say, in fact, it is likely up to 2.3 trillion naira, with not naira, but dollars. With countries from the third world countries, basically Africa, being mostly affected in terms of probably human resources, but financially affected countries as the first world country. So, what's your take on this, development?
It's a very good one because there is always funding. But the question is, this funding, where does it go to? Do we wait on the disaster to happen and now bring out money? Red Cross will be everywhere. I think we all heard of Mokwa flooding and how Red Cross and all the organizations there. Okay, what happened if you actually prepared for it? Because we always have a response team that is quick, but people have died. Lives have been lost. Farmland has been lost. People have been displaced. So yes, the funding is there for the disaster. So I think that the UN is trying to move from funding disaster, because even in the topic it says funding preparedness, not disaster. Because we are always funding disaster, and the more you fund it, the more money you keep bringing, because disaster will always happen. So I think the angle that the UN is going through the funding of, well, let's change dimension and see if it works. That is what they are trying to do.
Okay, when you say funding, we need to know what we are funding. Like you have just established that here we have erosion and flooding issues. But you are the secretary, you are a national secretary of your organization. So may we really know some of the disasters that we experience in Nigeria generally?
Okay, first, I'm not the national secretary, I'm the state secretary.
Okay, you are the state secretary. Yes. Okay.
Okay, the disasters we face in Nigeria, when I mean Nigeria generally, we have flooding, erosion, drought, what's next? I think that is the three major, because the drought happens in the north more than here, and desertification eventually.
Okay.
So, when I mean funding for preparedness, I'm talking about planning, developing.
Okay, that's exactly what I want to ask you. Now that we have established what that we have as natural disasters in Nigeria, how do you, what do you suggest? How do you, prepare to avert it?
Okay, there are things we can do from planning. Like, let me start with planning.
Okay.
Planning, development, or developing emergency plans. Because I think we do have it. It's funny, but I don't think the public are actually aware that we do have it.
Or is it that they're actually not as active? Exactly, because
no, we are
active.
We keep educating and creating awareness.
It simply means you have not
no, because I've not really seen, probably via the social media, we've not heard, we've not seen, because we are all on our phones and all that. So if it has actually been active, probably would have seen ads, sponsored ads on Facebook, would have seen sponsored ads on WhatsApp. We should have seen that collaboration between your agency
and the government.
And the government. These are some of the things that, you can, I feel, you guys can, do to actually, send this message across, because this is where people are, social media, on their phones and all that.
I think that is why, personally, I wanted to have this environmental, probably YouTube channel or that, because I think the more we talk about, come to the TV stations and talk about it, the more we write about it, because majority of our advocacy goes into writing. But we have realized now that so many people don't actually read. We read
what people read actually.
Yes, we write books. Yes, books. We even do webinars and all that. But I think bringing it to the common man, we actually do public awareness. But the truth is that you can't actually get as much people if we are on social media.
Public, that's what I wanted to know. No. That's what I wanted, public awareness. Where do you have a social media platform?
Yes, we do.
So
okay, we are on Twitter. Yes,
but how active? Because you guys need, if you're on Twitter, that's what I'm saying. The publicity is not enough.
Yeah.
The sensitization is not enough, because if you guys are like, these are where people are. People are always on their phone. and all that. So I think it probably is something you guys can, probably look into. All right. Okay, let's look at I don't know if you've heard of the Oslo Policy Forum targeting, looking at funding disasters across the world. One of their major two callings have been the increasing of funding for disaster risk reduction within public budgets and international assistance. That is, they're urging, not just the government of states, that is countries, to, allocate some part of their budget into funding risk, and also directing the government to ensure public development and private sector investments as they are risk-informed and resilient. Because most of the times you see private investors very much more interested in making money instead of probably conserving the environment. I remember yesterday we were talking about, was it yesterday? I think sometime during the week we were talking about town planning. And one of the town planners was talking about the alpaca forest a few years ago, but currently we are having real estate right there. So what can the government do concerning these development by the Oslo policy?
Okay, the government, I think in funding is majority of the government's part, because everybody have their own part. The individuals have their own part, society like us have our own part, and the government have their own part. I think the funding part is also majority of what happens in risk, because these early warning signs is money that will fund it. There is a national emergency management agency. They need funding to actually. It goes from national to state. So the state, at least on the state level, they need funding to make sure that they get the right information to pass to the public. And yes, my society might not have done so much in the public awareness, but the thing is, we do as much as we can with collaboration with the government. Because if you don't have collaboration with the government, it's just like you're speaking to the air. Nobody actually listens. But when you have the collaboration with the government, when they do policies, we actually dare to talk about environmental sustainability and responsibilities and how they should come in. So we are always there from the front line, from the national down to the state.
Is there any policy that you guys have influenced based on environmental issues?
In fact, presently, it has passed the second reading in the National Assembly. In fact, I think it has been passed generally. There is something called environmental practitioners. Before you do anything to the environment, probably like a town planner, because town planners are also part of our society. So before you do anything to the environment, you should always consider things. So these practitioners it's just like when you I think there is this national body that before you use their, I think surveyors, before they give you an amount, you have to get a seal. So now we are trying to get that seal that before you do anything to the environment, there should be an environmental practitioner that gives you the seal to go ahead. So that anything that happens to the environment,
the environmentalist will be held liable.
Exactly. So you can't just pass around and give people stamps and all that. So that is where we are now in the national body. So we have had collaboration with the government, especially in the national body.
And so far, what can you confidently say, this collaboration, we've been able to achieve this, we've been able to do this, what are the results that you can, your collaboration can actually point to?
Specifically now, since it's still in the process, we have not really gotten, I can't tell you this is the exact,
Yeah, so it's more like...
It's still in the process.
All right.
So we are trying to get to the point that the environment will matter before you do anything.
So what are you looking to achieve on the... I know you said, having, an environmentalist, a professional environmentalist and all that. So, but given, let's say, in the next 2-3 years, what are we likely to see from these developments, having a national, having a professional environmentalist, having people who have to, so what are we looking to achieve? Because we see a lot of things. We have lots of professionals, have lawyers, doctors, and all that, and we see lots of mismanagement of, things of this nature. And now, as if we have professional environmentalists, what are you, hoping to, what are you looking at to say, okay, in the next 4 or 5 years, we're going to achieve this?
Okay, what we're trying to achieve is environmental sustainability.
You said that before.
No, why I keep saying it is because if we don't sustain our environment now, it will affect the future generation. So, like what we are trying to achieve is, if you are building probably a road, government road, where we are not mindful of drainages, making sure that the road terminates somewhere. There is something called an environmental impact assessment, where you assess the impact of what you are doing on the environment. So that is a way of trying to make sure that the environment is sustainable. Another way is also environmental audit. Environmental audit is, okay, you have finished construction, for instance. You have finished construction. Okay, how have your construction affected the environment? Okay, now we want to make sure that before you start construction and after you did your construction, that you did destroy the environment more than before the construction. So anything you should be doing, you should be environmental sensitive, so that you don't just do anything and get away with it. So that is the main thing we are trying to achieve.
I don't know how long you guys are going to be trying to achieve this, because we have been talking about these environmental issues. And then today now, I think what is important to you guys is how to raise money. Money. We have almost established here that all these agencies are just out to make money, because with all the agencies we have on environment, we are still having issues. Okay, I've asked what are the things that we need to watch out for, and what are we going to do to prevent this from coming. I think you've been here with me once, and we asked, when we talked about the flooding in Niger and the whole lot of things, we are not doing anything. Let's be honest with ourselves. We have a lot of environmental challenges. Look at, we have this heavy rainfall like the one we had yesterday, and it raised the havocs. And then, what about our drainages? It starts from somewhere. Everything is not money. What about us drainages? How many of your people, agency people, have gone around to tell people, this drainage, what will be the result? What are you guys doing?
We have actually gone to the extent of doing cleanups campaigns everywhere.
It's just do it once, maybe once a year when you have your celebration.
No, we don't do it just once a year. We
need
always
an impactful engagement with the people.
That is why I said.
So we say we have improved, our drainages have improved because of the impact of this agency. This is what we want to see on ground. Okay. And this kind of flooding that is happening now, you will suggest to the government, to the agencies concerned, that this is what we need to do. And we go ahead to do it. And to make sure that when it rains like this, we don't get flooded.
Yes,
okay?
You can tell human beings of what to do, and they will decide to do something else. We have done cleanups. In fact, we have gone to the extent of even bringing in, we had a collaboration with the Ministry of Environment, at least in Anambra State, where they brought in Coca-Cola to buy off plastic from people. That was as in this year. And so many plastics were bought at even a higher rate than normal.
And then because of that, we have achieved this. That this doesn't happen again.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. As we are talking right now, plastic is something that people have made means of their livelihood. They pick up this plastic and go and sell. So it's a collective, I always say it's a collective effort. As much as these societies are there to tell you do the right thing, we also need individuals to actually take it up, like it's their responsibility to actually do the right things.
But you will be the driver.
Yes, we are. I'm always here talking about the environment. Yeah. I'm always on the media talking about the environment. Like, will I come and I can only carry a horse to the river. I can't force it to drink water. So we'll always drive both the individuals, communities, and the government. But we need individuals to actually do more. Because these deaths you're talking about in the drainages, it's not animals that put it there. It's human beings.
Someone will say apply pressure. All right. All right. Let's look at the four stages of. Let's look at the four phases of disaster. I would want you to have your take on that: mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. Again, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery.
Mitigation.
Yeah.
Okay. Mitigate. Okay. Let's start with preparedness, which I said.
Preparedness is the second one.
Okay.
So mitigation is the first, preparedness is the second, response third, and then fourth, recovery.
Mitigation. Reduce it as much as you can. Mitigation. Preparedness. Taking action before it happens.
Okay.
Response. Okay. The third one is what?
The third one is response, of course.
Okay. Response. Okay, it has happened. How did you respond to it? And the fourth one is what?
Recovery.
Recoveries. Okay. You have responded, probably the agencies and the government. Okay, how are the people recovering from it?
That's not just the people, the environment itself.
Yes, that's why I said the people. You know, when I mean the people, is both people and the environment.
Yeah, you know why the recovery of the environment is very important to us? To avoid future
Yes.
Okay, if you know that this is what caused flooding here, what have you done to ensure that it doesn't happen tomorrow? That's just what we are out to get.
Yes.
And not just, celebrating without a result. Okay, let's move on. Let's come back home to Anambra State. That's exactly what happened in Ogidi and what do you call it, Obosi and Newi.
Yes.
What has your agency? Have you stepped out to perhaps tell the State Assembly, this has happened because of this. This is what we have put in place, put on ground before. This is what we have warned, and look at what happened. And this is what we are going to do now to avoid it happening again. What have you done?
Okay.
Your agency, not you, please.
Yes, I know.
She's the agency now. She's part of the agency. The secretary is more like
you are the representative.
Very much, of course.
Okay. For now, we haven't done anything. But I know in the few days coming, we are going to do something, because we already have a gathering that we are supposed to talk about how to move forward from what has happened in Anambra State. So I think on Sunday, because this celebration is supposed to be on 13th, but on 12th, we have, nobody actually knows when the natural disaster will happen. So we are supposed to meet on 12th and have a meeting and know how to move forward with the environmental challenges that are happening in Anambra State.
All right, let's look at collaboration with the private sector. According to reports, according to United Nations, the private sector actually does have about, in every economy at least, they have about 75% of the influence in every economy globally. All right, no matter the system of government, whether you're talking about a military system of government and all that, right? How best can, you guys, I know it's very important to collaborate with the government, but how best do you think you guys can collaborate with the private sector to actually bring down, because we see lots of things being done by the private sector, very much interested in making more money than actually, paying attention to natural disasters. Because when we go to, areas, the geographical areas with many of these, let's say, mineral deposits, or you see places where businesses, you see, they do not basically, they are very much interested. I was, around where I live, there used to be a tree, I think I said this yesterday, on Monday. There used to be a tree where people just, a coconut tree where people just go and relax and take that breather from the sun or something like that when it gets hot. I was surprised, I think on Tuesday or Wednesday while coming to work, I noticed the tree was off. So you see that, of course, no shades again for anyone, and you're likely to see that area getting hotter, right? So it's actually part of this natural disaster we are talking about, because when a heat wave happens, it's likely going to affect people living there. So now, are we likely to, and that tree was actually cut down by a private investor, someone who runs a block industry around that, so that he gets more space to probably dry his blocks and all that, you see. So now, how can we see that collaboration within your agency and the private investors to make them understand the negative impact of some of their economic activities? Because if this man actually did understand that cutting down this tree would actually increase heat wave around that area. I do not think he was likely going to cut it down. So how can that collaboration happen?
There is actually collaborations like that. We tell, you talk to public, private sectors of how to run their system not to affect the environment. But the thing is, that is where we said our collaboration with the government is actually to help us in those kind of areas where if you're talking to the private sector on what to do and they don't do it, there is a sanction coming from the government to actually do it. So that is why I always come to the conclusion that it has to be a collaborative effort. Yes, the private sector wants to make more money. They are there for the profit. But as much as you are there for the profit, we also educate you that, yes, if you are doing this, you have to also think about the environment while you are doing it. I think that is where we came up with this, the stamp of the environmental practitioners. So that you don't just wake up one minute. In fact, most of the erosion, if you have actually watched erosion trends, most of the erosion almost starts with construction being cut off without getting to the end or getting to the termination point.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Construction of what?
maybe
Probably
roads,
or a
drainage,
building or
anything.
something.
It doesn't actually, or probably they did the construction and by the side of it, they didn't actually
do it very well.
probably plant trees or something along there to actually allow water to flow slowly. So, that is why we always have to say that private sectors do the right things. If you're doing construction, terminate it because every construction has a place you have to terminate it. You don't terminate it just anywhere,
halfway,
just because nobody is actually watching you.
Do you have any law on
Yes, there
There are
is.
lots of
on environment in Anambra State?
Yes, the laws in Anambra, and not only in Anambra State, in Nigeria about environmental
No,
protection.
Anambra State first.
Okay, that is why I said yes, we do.
Yes, and have you taken anybody to court based on
This
on
development.
on that law, based on whatever the person must have committed around the environment? Have you done that?
No.
You see, you don't just come here and be talking and talking. That was why I asked you, because I wanted to say, if you advise somebody that is constructing something not to do this and it does that and it generates problem, and you go home and say, anyway, I advise the person. Take the person to court. The next person will not do it. You understand what I mean?
Yes,
so
that is
you have
very
the
nice.
law that you use to prosecute the person. So why do you allow them?
We don't allow them.
No, you
So,
do.
okay.
If you don't, you will not achieve anything. That's just who we are.
So
Okay?
probably they're looking at the point of collaboration. They do know. That's why she's basically talking about, more of a support and collaboration with the government, because they cannot, begin to prosecute people without being given the power to do that.
By
law.
who?
Yes,
the
they
power
have
has been
to.
given to you. That is
No,
the law. An environmental law.
Before
and
you're
if anything
giving,
like this happens, you go to court. Is that the driver of
yes,
the
they
environmental
may be the
issue?
driver. What they basically seem to have to do is basically being advocates of this.
Obina, let him talk. Let
Let
her
us
talk,
talk.
please.
No, I understand.
Let her talk.
But that's by the way.
She's the
You know,
secretary, so she
The fact that we advocate both for the individuals and the government. We actually tell the government about policies that they should improve on and all that. So I think it's more of an assignment to me and taking back, because I'm the secretary, and we have a conference coming up in the next 2 weeks. So I have something to talk about when I get to the
take
conference.
somebody
Exactly.
to court,
So-
and you will see some of the issues.
Yeah.
Even somebody you meet pouring something on the drainage or whatever.
Pick him up, a
Pick that
picture,
person up.
something,
And
all
that's
that.
the only language you
Being
understand
proactive
here.
about that.
So when you
I
ask for
think-
fund, to do some of these things, they will give it to you because they have seen your result. That you're actually doing something. Okay, we'll take a break here. We'll talk to some people concerning this environmental issue. So come back and then we'll start concluding. Do stand by.
Well, natural disaster is not man-made, as you all know. It is something that happens when you don't expect it, but it doesn't mean you don't know. Agencies that are responsible for this sometimes warns you there might be flooding in April, might be flooding in this drought, as the case may be. So I think when this happens and they give such predictions, what the government and Indian Anambra and all other regions that are involved will do is plan ahead of time. If it's something like, which is what is conversant with our position here in Anambra State, which is flooding around the riverine areas. It should move to upland, make provisions for them. They should have time to be off school, and I think in this way, tackling it and preparing for it ahead of time, because he who fails to plan plans to fail.
When it comes to natural disasters, erosion to be precise, I think there should be a way of the government setting up a committee to look into the problems leading to it, ensuring that most of these erosion are properly channeled to the right path. You understand? Because there are sometimes, if you don't do these things rightly, it will affect the housing structures, the building, the streets. So I think drainage is something they should always look into to make sure it is well done.
I believe the government should build more drainage systems and trenches so that when rain falls, the water can flow out easily.
Welcome back. It is still building resilience, financing preparedness to reduce the impact of natural disasters. And this is to mark the 2025 International Day for Natural Disaster, which has its theme as Fund Resilience, not disaster. And we still have Chinelo Umoka with us in the house. She is the Secretary, Nigeria Environment Society. So when you don't just say, why are they bombarded here? She's an authority, so she should know. That's why we are taking it up with her. Yes. Let's get down to the theme of this year's celebration, Fund Resilience, not disaster. We have been able to establish what that is our problem, the disasters, and what we must do to avert it before we start looking for fund. Now, how do you want this resilience to be funded?
Okay. I will say that resilience is not something we build in one day. It takes through planning, knowledge, because you have to actually know what you are preparing for, and collective efforts. And yeah, we have the National Emergency Management that brings out when people need to move and all that. We have the State Emergency Management Agency that also bring it down to the state. But I think we have to get to the level of having a community-based emergency agency, even if it's not an agency, but people that are trained to the point of they know what to do at every stage of disaster. It's not just talking about we have nightmares telling you rain is going to come, the intensity of rain. Yes, we hear it on the televisions, and probably because I'm interested to know.
National television.
Yes. So it's not everybody that is opportune to know that. So I think if there is like two or a group of people in the community that have these natural disasters, like this flooding and erosion things, and they are trained to the level that they know that, I have to listen from this period to this period to make sure that I get the information of when rain is coming, to inform my community members so that we'll be ready, do the necessary things that they said we should do. Because when Niman bring out all these early signs and anything, they will advise on what to do. So if this community probably group have a knowledge of this, it will make it easier to disseminate information among the community members. I think we should actually encourage and train people on the community level.
Who are the we?
We. That is why I said we. Both the professional bodies and the government eventually.
Okay. So I know when you rope us in, you know. It's okay. If it does happen, like you said, I think it's the best thing to do, because what we experienced in the last 2 days, it's very horrible. Some people went to market, they never came back. Okay, and some buildings were washed off, businesses washed off. If we have community-based informants on environments that will tell people in the market, tell people in the streets and the villages, once it's going to rain heavily today, make sure you take precautions. And then the students, if wherever you are in this training, don't come out. We tell the schools even, lock up your gates whenever it's raining, that students will not come out so that we don't start losing our children as they're going back home. But most times when it's raining, the school will open their gates ajar and ask the students, run home before the rain gets you on the... No, you don't know how the distance that the person is going. So keep them safe. If you are going out, go with your umbrella. This rain, I don't even know whether the umbrella contains it. And then once it starts raining, find somewhere safe and stay. You understand? These are some of the things we'll get from the community-based environmental, what do you call them now, strategists, okay? And a whole lot of them. And then if it's raining heavily, stay where you are. Even if it rains all through the night, find somewhere and sleep. Don't step into the flood, because you don't even know where is where again.
And all that, yeah.
So these are the things that we expect you guys to be doing. And somebody will just tell me, when I get to the village, somebody will tell me that I don't want to go out today. They say it's going to rain heavily.
Exactly.
That's when I know that you are making impacts in the environment. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is exactly what you want the community-based thing to do. So how are we going to have that, and when are we supposed to have that?
Okay.
After the celebration.
That is where I keep saying it's a collaboration. Because you can't just walk into people's community and tell them what to do. So, but if the government probably just, even if it's not finance us, but they already existing agencies that handle disaster. So if this agency can collaborate with us to actually go to these communities and train them, educate them on natural disasters and the risks that are associated with it, we'll be willing to. We'll be willing to go.
But so far, have your agency been able to, go to communities yourself and, have that, will I say, roundtable discussion with community leaders like the kings and, will I call it, Prime Minister, the PGs and all that? Have they been that, attempt to collaborate with them on that level?
Yeah, I think last year, let me just give the one I was part of. I like to. I've gone to schools. I've gone to communities to even encourage tree planting and all that. We have done so many cleanup activities.
What I'm saying is having that round table with community leaders, talking about kings and PGs. Yeah. Also having to have to meet them at really strategic times, talking about. During August meetings, during their annual meetings, during during the youth gatherings, and some of these church activities in the local communities have attempted to be made, especially communities where we know are very much laden with flooding.
Right.
Have you made some of these efforts?
Community leadership, we haven't, but we have gone to the extent of talking to churches. We have written to the bishop of, I think one of the bishops, to actually help us.
Are you talking about the Catholic bishops or Anglican?
That is what I'm saying, one of those, and some other denomination of churches, to actually educate their members on the need to preserve the environment. Not dump the refuse in the, you know how churches have this part of them, they give announcements and all that. We write to them to actually, please, when you are giving this announcement, can you tell people not to be dumping refuse in the drainages, dispose the refuse, like all those.
Do you think they do that? Okay, so let me tell you what to do, because we asked the question that you can't just walk into a community and start making an announcement. No, you can. Once you get into a community, even in the cities, all you need to know who is the chairman of this street, and then they get you to the chairman. Please, this is what we want to do. If they can be using all those megaphones to disturb us early in the morning, that they want, go and pay your
tax and all that.
Go and pay your security fuel. Come to, and the churches use them. Come to programs here and there. You can also do that. Now, today, this is who we are. We are environmental strategists. We want to inform you that it's going to rain heavily today. So make sure you do this and that. This is one of the best messages that people will want to hear.
And sometimes you can even use your funds.
So simple.
Sometimes you can even use your funds your personal funds, because I don't know how you guys fund yourselves, whether it is through internal collections or by private bodies. You guys can, kind of fund yourself, host a number of some of these events. And of course, that's where the social media thing comes up. And believe me, people see some of these things and do it via the Gen Z way. You know the way it is. You make it a trendy thing, and I believe it will get the required publicity that is actually, even if it means collaborating with, you know, social content, you know, creators. I believe it will go a long way in actually helping you get the information you need.
Okay, I asked
They're
you a
supposed to pay us
question,
for
and
these things.
it has
I
not
think
been.
a lot of ways to communicate to the people that I don't think I've actually thought of it that way. But you know, when you talk to people, you get to understand how everybody thinks. So personally, I might not be thinking about it. Somebody you just brought it to my knowledge.
We
so,
are communicators. So
exactly.
We know these things better.
So I think I have so many
to
things to actually take to the states and the national.
But you are going to pay consultation fee anyway. Okay, tell us, who do you expect to fund this resilience, like you are trying to say? Let's do that before we conclude. Is it the individuals, the governments, agencies, and international agencies like you guys look up to? Who are supposed to fund this resilience?
Okay.
And how do you even fund it? Is it by taking proactive measures, or must it be money?
It mustn't be money. It can be proactive measures.
Okay.
Like,
but largely funds, actually, because the United Nations was talking about money.
No, it mustn't be.
Yes, it mustn't be actually money. Because when you are talking about a type of preparedness, there is individual level of it. There is community level of it. There is government level, and there is health even level. Because when you are doing preparedness and resilience, the individual have to actually be prepared to prepare for natural disaster. Probably have emergency kits, evacuation plans in their homes. Because if you go to, I think Anambra, all those riverine areas, if you ask them, they will tell you when the rain is coming, they move to this so place. So they're already prepared to move because of the natural disaster.
Probably because I used to that.
That is what I'm saying. That is the individual part of being prepared. The community can organize it. We don't usually do it here, but the communities, that is why I said there needs to be a more focus on the community education. Because if the community are actually aware, they can actually prepare something called emergency drill, where they will just
being taught how to go about it.
Exactly. So when it comes to the government, the funding, early warning signs and all that, that is the government's part of it. Funding now when you come to money. So all the other ones I was talking about is not actually money, just having the knowledge of doing it.
It's because it's safe fund. No. And what's if we hear fund, it gets to our head.
So all the ones I've said, as I said, is not physical fund. It's just doing the necessary things that you need to do. And so when it comes to the government, eventually this emergency sign, the publications, going to making sure that the people get the information, you actually need money for those.
You need money.
Exactly.
You
so
need money.
Health part is, okay, these people are moving from the disaster area. Do you have enough equipment to accommodate them? So the government also needs to fund infrastructure eventually. So there are places that is just you preparing to
form medical facilities for
yes,
them.
exactly.
And,
so that
drugs,
is the funding doesn't necessarily need to be physical cash. It can just be
provision of some of these.
Exactly.
And when if it is physical cash, what's the channel? How does it go?
That is the government. They know how it goes because there is actually a state emergency management agency.
No, he's talking about funding you directly and all that. This one is
they don't fund your agency directly.
You don't like money. The policies are they don't fund the people.
It's not like we don't like money, but it's a non-governmental organization.
So they don't give people money directly. They just give people facilities.
Yes, eventually.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think we have grilled you enough. Thank you, Chinelo.
Better like money.
Chinelo Umoka for.
But I believe that's on the agency level, but on the personal level, you should like money.
Obina, what's your problem this morning?
So that's it now.
Okay.
It's part of the thing.
Personally.
Okay, Chi, Biko, advise our people before we leave.
Okay. As I will just say that natural disaster is not common. It's not rare anymore. We are living in it because I don't think we have gotten to the level of the flooding we have had this year.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's not just in Nigeria,
and
but
it's how
across the world.
And it's how funny is in October Today is like 9th of October, and
Honestly.
we are talking about this much rain.
July rain in October.
July rain in October. I think we need to actually now get to the level of being aware of the environment. We have gotten to that level that you have to actually, so if you see somebody cutting tree, you tell the person, please plant this tree back. Because
you are one of our problems.
You are one of our problems. So we have gotten to the level that we are aware of what is happening. So I think what we now need to do is, okay, I'm aware. What's next to do? If you see somebody dumping refuse in the drainage, please don't. It's not affecting you here. Because the normal language we use is, water will carry it now. Carry it to where? Where is it going to? It ends up somewhere. And it's somebody's disaster somewhere. So can we just do the right thing? As much as we are waiting for the organization like the Nigerian Environmental Society, like the government, please, individually, can we just do the right things?
Very important. Okay, when next you come, we're going to look at industrialization, because we notice even in this side of the world, people build houses, build industries in residential designated areas. And this is why we are having much of this climate change issues, pollution everywhere. We're going to talk about that one when next you come, okay?
I also want to see results. We want to see, okay, this is what you've been able to achieve.
Just get first to start working on this, because we're going to deal on that when next you come. Okay, thank you, Chinelo Umoka, for the Secretary of Nigerian Environment Society. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Obina.
My name is Obin. Next is Catch the Buzz with Ifi Onachuku. Of course, a lot of, trending stories to share with you. Stay tuned to EBS Television.